We deplore the desecration of the United States Capitol building.
Count me out. Enough is enough.
What happened here today was an insurrection incited by the President of the United States.
To storm the Capitol, to smash windows, to occupy offices, the floor of the United States Senate, rummaging through desks.
We brought this hell upon ourselves.
Joseph R. Biden Jr. of the state of Delaware has received 306 votes.
Ceremonies and remembrances are being held throughout the nation as we mark the 1-year anniversary of the January 6th attack on the United States Capitol. President Biden visited the U.S. Capitol today, 1 year after that mob stormed the same building in an attempt to prevent the certification of the 2020 presidential election results. The president, calling out his predecessor, says the nation is at a turning point.
Those who stormed this Capitol, and those who instigated and incited, and those who called on them to do so, held a dagger at the throat of America, at American democracy. We must decide, what kind of nation are we going to be? Are we going to be a nation that accepts political violence as a norm?
Despite the attack, Congress returned to complete their duty, formalizing the election results. Former President Trump canceled a planned press conference for today, instead issuing a statement slamming President Biden and calling it a rigged 2020 presidential election. KOIN 6 is digging deeper into the January 6th insurrection. 6 local men are accused of storming the U.S. Capitol. 2 of them, Jonathan Peter Klein from Eastern Oregon and Mark Anthony Brower from Vancouver, are being sued by the District of Columbia. They're accused of being part of a conspiracy as members of the Proud Boys and causing extraordinary damages. All 6 men have pleaded not guilty and have court hearings scheduled either this month or next month. Well, many of the people implicated in crimes from that day were alleged members of extremist groups. This morning, the AM Extra crew spoke with an expert on hate groups and hate crimes to see if the day galvanized right-wing groups. A sociologist at the University of Oregon, Dr. Randy Blazak, says January 6th may have been the start of a bigger movement.
You use violence or the threat of violence to achieve political goals. That's called terrorism. And this was a terrorist attack. And the notion of using terrorism has long been one of the calls of the extreme right group. So if we go back to 1995 and look at the Oklahoma City bombing that killed 168 people, including 19 children, the goal of that attack, which was committed by a member of the militia movement, was to start a race war in America. And so this notion of using violence was sort of magnified 1 year ago today.
Dr. Blazak says history indicates that more threats of political violence are likely in the future, but can be prevented if the national divide is lessened.